All right, so as we get going, you'll see how we like to tell people how to use SMS Enabled DIDs, some of the different tools to enable the use of them, how to set them up, and some of the advanced features that we have for using the SMS Enabled DIDs. First off, why would you even want SMS on a DID? Well, it allows you to send and receive messages to cell phones. So if your customers or business associates are using their cell phones to communicate, which many, many people do, this allows you to use your personal DID to send those messages to those customers. And it's a huge percentage of people out there are using text messaging as a primary form of communication. So why not be able to utilize someone's preferred method of communication when at all possible? We can use chat software that supports XMPP, which is available on PC, Mac, Android, iOS, BlackBerry, Linux, you name it. If there's a platform for it, there's an instant messenger client available that can utilize the service. And we use a big Jobber server on our end. It's very easy to set up and run. We have an Android and iOS client. We'll talk about that. You can use on the PC. I use Pigeon. There's a number of other ones on the Mac. Adium is probably one of the more popular ones. There's BlackBerry apps. There's Linux apps. So there's lots of different ways to utilize the chat software, as well as a web interface if you go to s.ms. One big thing, and one of the things that I like, is you never have to give out your cell phone number. Because you're using an app that's tied to your DID, you can communicate with those customers without having to give out a cell phone number, and that I really like. And because SMS is free on our DIDs, there's no cost to use this. Jeff's asking if there's an app for Windows Phone 8. I don't know. I don't use Windows Phone 8. If there is a multi-protocol IM client, then there's a really good bet that it will work. So you want to look for one that can do XMPP, and that generally, if it can do Google Talk, it can do our service. So, so Ted's saying yes. Are you saying yes to the Win Phone 8? I hope so. And if so, do you know what app it is? Can multiple clients attach at the same time? The answer is yes. So my personal setup is I have a Pigeon running on my desktop, and I have our SMS app running on my phone. So I get those messages to both devices at the same time. Sydney will get to the API at the end, so I am going to talk about that. For business continuity, I think this is a really big one. You have salespeople that are out in the field, they're communicating with their customers, and if you put them on the s.ms, then if you get rid of that salesperson or they leave, you can now redirect all those text messages to another salesperson. So you can maintain that business continuity. That's why I also suggest putting those salespeople on a soft phone that's on their smartphone so that they're using their extension and not giving out their cell phone number. So with soft phones and the SMS app, again, no need to ever give out somebody's cell phone number, and you can maintain that business connection with those customers if that person happens to leave. The question is, can one client attach to multiple DIDs? Well, our Android and iOS apps cannot do that, but if you're using a multi-protocol IM client, you can create multiple logins for that. On Android, there's a good app called IMO, and it can do that. Pigeon, Adium, any of the PC or Mac-based ones, they can all do that. Our apps on Android and iOS are one at a time, so if you want multiple clients to attach to multiple DIDs, use some of the more generic IM clients that are out there. Ted's saying the Windows Mobile Jobber client is octro.com, octro.com, for those Windows users, Windows mobile users out there. So again, the business continuity, soft phone, SMS combination, maintain that business customer relationship. I think that's a really big selling point for the SMS service. Desktop communication, again, I can use desktop communication to talk to those mobile customers. Now, this may not just be for salespeople. You may have your support line set up so that people can text messages directly to support, and your support people can answer this. If you look at my email signature, it has my name, my email address, and my phone number, and it says direct or text message. So you can text message to my DID, and it pops up on my desktop so I can communicate directly with people who are on their phones. I think that's a really, really handy feature. Now, how do you enable SMS on your DIDs? It's simple. I'm going to go in and show you how to do that. It's pretty straightforward. I want to get that screen up here on another page. We're going to go to our portal account, but I'm not going to log in first so you don't see my screen there. Again, use standard chat software. If you ever need some help on how to set up different software packages, it's at http://s.ms. Okay, so I'm going to kind of walk you through the screen here. Forgive me a little bit. I'm not entirely used to this new webinar software. Yeah, Ted, there is no MMS yet, just SMS. So hopefully, can you see my screen here? Okay, so I'm going to go, and we have a couple different tabs here. S.ms, or the SMS tab on the top, is going to be for shortcodes. So we'll look at that later. What we want to do is go to the DIDs. Can I make it bigger? Let me try switching to a different screen and see if that helps. Let me try this. You guys tell me if this gets better here when I switch to the other monitor. Is that better with the screen sharing now? Okay, great. So if I go to my DIDs tab at the top, then you'll see the SMS tab at the bottom. Use your list of DIDs that are available for SMS. You can just select them, and as you see, it's free for unlimited USA and Canada, and international is 4.9 cents a minute. We haven't been able to get free on international yet. Then you want to set up an account for that DID. So the username is going to be the phone number, and the password is going to be whatever password you want to put into it. You select go, and now that account is created. There's also email SMS forwarding. So when a message comes in to that DID, it will send it to my email, and I can reply from that email back to somebody, so I don't actually have to have an app running on my phone. So that's pretty cool. Chip is asking if you can block international messages, and today we don't have any blocking in there. If that's a feature request that you'd like to see, we can look what it would take to put that in there. So the email SMS forwarding, that's a really handy feature. I like using that when I'm on the road and I may not have really good access to my SMS client, or I'm only checking my email a couple times a day, like when I'm on vacation. So I can see those messages that came in over SMS, and I can reply to them. So setting it up is pretty straightforward. If we go to s.ms, show you the website here. There's links right to the App Store and the Android market, so you can get those. We can go to IM Client Support, and if I select one of these, like Pigeon, it will actually walk me right through how to set up these different IM clients for that particular product. Now, if I log in to my account through S.MS, I see my account information, I can change my passwords, my current connections, it'll show all the different apps that I have connected to it. I also have a web chat that I can log into if I just want to bring it up really quickly and just have this running. So I can use this instead of having to install an IM client. So again, kind of handy little feature for that. Let me get back over to where did close this out again. Okay, now that's long code. So if you hear the phrase long code, that's using DIDs. Now short code, this is the smaller numbers, typically 4 to 6-digit numbers that are used specifically for messaging. They're not call-enabled numbers. So they're like when you vote for your favorite American Idol, text, help to some number and get it. Or if you've been to the movies lately, there's this promo that plays, text dream to some number and it sends you back an ad at the end. So there's a lot of different ways of utilizing short code for different types of marketing plans. Just checking the questions here, make sure I'm getting to everybody. If you are not currently connected, are incoming messages stored or lost? They are stored, okay? Make sure you understand that so that as soon as you log in, you'll start seeing them pop up. That happens to me quite often. I fly almost every week, so as soon as I land, all those messages start popping in. Are the questions here? Okay, moving on to the next slide here. So if you want to try out that functionality of shortcode, you can text Vitelity to 99629, and it'll automatically reply back with a canned message. I'm actually going to go back and show you a couple different ways that we can utilize that functionality. Let's get back into the screen share. I'm going to go back to my user portal, and I'm going to go over to the Shortcodes tab. And these are different shortcodes that I've set up for different experiments and different examples that I've done for people. I'm going to manage these, and I can see the canned messages that I have already. But some of the things we can do here is create a short description, which is just going to be for your own reference. I can forward it to a URL. So on one of these, you can see I have this set up, and if you text something to that URL for that keyword, now your script on the back end can process that. There is some blog posts that we've done on how to utilize this, along with some sample PHP code. So if you go back through our blog, you can find some of this information and some sample PHP code on how to use it. So if someone sends you a message via shortcode, you can store, or the variables that you're going to get are the keyword, their phone number, and any other messages that were sent. So you can put that into a database and then mark it back out to those people kind of as an opt-in. And one of the options that we have here is auto-subscribe to list. So I can create these different lists and auto-subscribe people as soon as they send a message to that number, which is, again, really handy for sending this message back. I can also just put in a canned response, office hours, support hours, things like this. Now, shortcodes are not free. SMS on DIDs is free, but shortcodes are not. There's a cost to using shortcodes because of our cost involved. But again, we have some good information on our blog about how to use these properly, how to set up the keywords, creating phone books. So I can create a phone book, these different lists that I have, put in phone numbers in here, and I can also send directly to that phone book. One way is to use email to send. So I can send an email to that list and have it automatically go out. So again, really handy features for marketing. Let me get back to some of the questions here. What number will show when you send the SMS? The number will be the DID. So if we're sending from a DID, it will be the phone number for that DID. Hope that makes sense. Let me get back to the screen here. Okay, sorry about the audio. I guess it screwed up a little bit there. If I have a US DID, but I'm in the UK on a UK phone and want to SMS China, what is the cost? Maybe Scott can answer that. I'm not up on what the cost is on international SMS messaging. Sydney's asking, are all DIDs now SMS enabled or just a subset of them? The vast majority of our DID inventory is now SMS enabled to an extent. You still have to go in and set it up. They're not automatically set up, but they should be able to have SMS enabled on them. Larry, of course, you're asking this one. Is there a limitation on the amount of messages that can be sent over a period of time? You can't flood the system. You don't want to be doing tons of messages at one time on DIDs. On shortcodes, that's kind of designed for higher usage. So if you're going to be pushing out a lot of marketing ones, you want to do that over the shortcodes. The long code, the DID-based numbers, are really for that one-to-one communication. Let's see. Each DID will need its own SMS account. So hopefully that answered that question. Are text to email stored if the email is not immediately deliverable? Well, yeah, it's going to go to your email server, and then as soon as you check your email, it's going to pull that. So it's not just sent and lost somewhere. Those are for you. So again, with the shortcodes, to kind of rehash what I went over in the demo there, you can have pre-canned messages. Those are the short messages that are predefined and will reply upon sending a message. There's the URL redirect, which can go to a script where you can process the message and send back the reply. So you need to understand the difference between the DIDs and shortcodes, as they're two very different things, but there's a lot of similarities between the two. Now, both long code and short code can both be automated via our API. If you haven't seen our API documentation lately, we've actually redone a lot of it. It's at apihelp.vitelity.net. If you want access to the API, you need to make a request through our ticketing system. Most people do not have, well, by default, you don't have access to the API. If you need it, make a request, and they'll set that up for you. That's available to any of our EVARs and that are out there who want to automate some of this process. Can someone automate, or can someone auto-remove themselves from a list using stop? Yes, that is a mandatory feature that we have to adhere to. So if someone says stop, it will remove them from the list. That's a great question, Mark. Can you change the ID without changing the DID? The answer would be no. The IDs are tied to the DID, or vice versa, depending on how you want to look at it. Does your SMS PHP API only work using shortcodes? No, it works with both long code and short code, as you can see with this screen. How do we set up a wholesale account? You contact our sales department, and they will get you set up on a wholesale account. So Scott is our man for that. He will get you set up and get you assigned to an account manager. Can you make an SMS group like a ring group to SMS several numbers at once? Mark, great question there. That's a feature that we've looked at adding. We don't know if we're going to add that yet, but we're going to be looking at that. It's one of our things on our roadmap is to have something like that. So you can do that yourself with if you're using the API, you can pull the numbers in and then send the stuff out. So you kind of have to massage how you do it a little bit. Sending a URL via text is especially concerning via shortcode. Do you have licensing from Helfrich? I'm not familiar with Helfrich. I mean, we have agreements with different API gateways. We follow their rules. It's a lot of stuff that we have to deal with to make sure that we're doing stuff right. So in order to use the API, you have to set up credentials and remote IP address. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Let me switch back over to the other screen. Kind of lost my my train of thought here when I was trying to set this up. If you want to set your API, you need to go to the Remote API Help. Now I'm getting used to we're actually launching a new version of our portal, and I've been using it, so I'm kind of forgetting where some of this stuff is. There it is. Under My Account, we go to Remote API, and you have to put in the IP address of your server that's going to communicate, and then you can create different logins and passwords for your API services. So you just put in whatever, tech API, give it a new password, and now those are the credentials that you're going to use when accessing the API. So you have to have both of these pieces in place in order to access the API properly. Now, what does that look like when we're looking at the API? Well, let me get back over to that. And come on, PowerPoint, let's come back up. So here's an example of using the SendShort command. It's almost identical for the Send SMS command. It's just slightly different. So you have the call, the login, the password, the command, the source number, destination number, and the message. It looks a little confusing here, so I put kind of a real working example in here that I would put in my login, my password, the SendShort command, the short code, the destination I'm sending it to, and a URL encoded message for the text to go out. URL discussion. We'll have to get some clarification on what the question is about the URLs. So we'll have to look at that. Is there SSL access to the API? That's not yet. That should be coming here in the very near future. We have a lot of requests for that, so that's something we're going to be looking at in, again, the very near future here. we've only just started getting requests for that, so it's been put on our engineering request form. So if you have questions on that, feel free to ask. We do have a new process for doing feature requests, so you can talk to your account manager, tell them that you have a specific request, they'll put it in for us, the engineering team will review that, and hopefully we'll be able to get changes and features out a lot better than we were before. Derby, I will send out a link for the recorded version as soon as we're all done here. So hopefully this is kind of covered. We're not trying to make these webinars very long and drawn out. We know everyone wants to get busy with their day and get on with stuff. So we're trying to make these short and very to the point every time. So this has been the SMS with the shortcode, how to use it, how to get it set up very quickly and get started with it. And hopefully you guys are going to start using it. If you have questions, you can reach out to us. We'll try and answer them as best we can. Again, visit our blog. I do have example code in the blog on how to use this stuff. And again, PHP code, if you use something else, you should be able to figure it out from there. The code that I've put in there is very basic examples on how to use some of the functionality. You can go to vitelity.com/blog, go searching through it, and check it out. Arif, yes, there is going to be a recorded version of this, so don't worry about that. We are going to have another webinar next month, June 20th. It's going to be about faxing. It's probably one of the things we get the most questions on is how to do fax over VoIP. And our answer is you don't. You use our vFax service and our new product called Fax Enable, and this is a very reliable, robust fax solution. We're going to talk about that next month, June 20th, same time. We will send out an email to everybody, so watch those messages to be coming out on a regular basis. We're going to have a webinar every month about the new products and services as we roll them out. Doug's Doug, I will look into your issue there, and I'll see if there's something I need to look into that. So not really sure, but I will definitely look at it. I'm sure it's a patent troll issue. I mean, we deal with patent issues all the time around here, so it's always something we have to look at and make sure that we're doing things on the up and up. Just a quick poll, you can just put this in the chat. How many of you are using our vFax product today? Is a number of you guys? Mark is, Ted is. Wow, a lot of you guys are. Okay, whoa, okay. How many of you have looked at our Fax Enable product? Now, Fax Enable is a device that allows you to use our vFax service with a traditional fax machine. So, very cool way of solving fax problems for customers. We've just had a price reduction on that, so definitely check it out. Go to the website, go to vitelity.com. There's a link there. Scott just put it in the chat there, vitelity.com/faxenable. Very cool product for using traditional fax machines that people don't want to switch over to a web-based system or some electronic fax product. They can use their traditional fax machine and have many of the features that are currently available in vFax. So if you're looking for that, you definitely need to take a look at this. Oh, Scott's reminding me, we do have a new subscription option for Fax Enable. We have two options. You can just buy the device up front and use the vFax pricing, or there's a flat rate service for faxing. The question is, does Fax Enable get around the 500 fax a day throttle? That's something you need to talk to your account manager about, and they can work with you on that. We certainly have people that do more than that. We just limit it as a default, but it's something that can be changed through the sales department, and they can work with you on that. So shouldn't be a big deal. to get that up and running for you if you need to do more than 500 faxes a day. We certainly have people that do that. The info on Fax Enable, if you scroll up in the chat a little bit, Scott put a link in there. It's right on the home page of Vitelity.com. There's an icon there that says Fax Enable. So take a look at that, and it kind of explains what the different products are. Can you only have one email in the text-to-email? Today, yes. If you need to do more, the way to do it is to set up an email distribution. So take a look at that. I don't want to get too much wrapped up in the Fax Enable for this webinar. Certainly call into sales, call your account manager if you have one. They can give you all the pricing. The pricing's on the website. We have two different packages. We have the upfront price for $109 and the $24.95 a month subscription. So there's a number of different ways that you can do that. Check it out. You're going to love Fax Enable if you have people that are using faxing and you're trying to get rid of that cost of that analog phone line every month. This will probably save, on average, of 50% right off the top of their fax bill. So you can go in, save your customers money right off the top. It's a great way of selling additional services to your customers. And if you're a wholesaler or one of our affiliates, it's an extra way of you to make money. So yes, Michael, I agree. I wish fax would go away. But since it's not, why don't we figure out how to support it properly and do it in a reliable fashion? And what we have found with our fax solution is it is the most reliable platform that we have seen out there in the market. We have tested it to extremes without any problems. So Eric says he tells his customers to use carrier pigeons instead. Yeah, almost as old technology. So guys, check out the SMS stuff. That's what this webinar was for SMS and the shortcode messaging. Check out the blog posts on how to use it, how to set it up, try it out, show it to your customers, use it as an example on your phone when you're talking to them on how they can communicate with you, and you can easily sell this as a great value add. Now the beauty is, once you have customers that are using SMS-enabled DIDs, they'll never leave you. Because they can't. They're not going to be able to get that functionality somewhere else. The way we're doing it, they're going to be tied into you as a customer, so you're going to be able to keep that customer for a very long time because you're going to give them a tool that they're not going to be able to get somewhere else. So hopefully this is going to enable you to go out, sell more product, make more profit, and improve your business. Ted's asking, will SMS always be free, or is there a plan to charge per message at some point? Well, we used to charge, and it's now free. We have no plans to ever take it back to charging per message on the SMS DIDs. Shortcodes, there's still a charge, and that charge is probably going to continue to go down over time, but the SMS DIDs is free. We have no plans to change that. The negotiated rates that we have are so low that we're adding it as a bundled service to the DID pricing. Jeff was saying, if I'm receiving text on my phone, but messages sent from the web client aren't sent back. If you're having some weird issues with a particular DID, make sure you open a trouble ticket so our guys can look at it. If it's an older phone number, there might be some routing info problems, but we're trying to be worked on that and get that taken care of. Mike is recorded, so we'll have that online posted soon. So guys, thanks very much for joining. I appreciate you taking the time to learn more about the different products and services that we have here at Vitelity. Hopefully you can use these to your advantage, and over time, as we continue to do these webinars, that you'll be able to find more and more things that you can offer to your customers to improve your business and your bottom line. So again, thanks everyone for joining. We really appreciate it. We will see you next month.